26. U-turn to reality. Jackie's POV. Lavanya. I called her again, but she remained still, like a statue. Her expression was filled with worry and confusion. Why does she look so troubled? I can't read her mind. I want to go home, she suddenly declared. What? Disappointment washed over me at her words. Is she still upset about my earlier behavior? Lavanya, please, let's go to the mechanic and get my keys, she interrupted, deliberately avoiding my gaze. What just happened? Sure, I agreed, though my heart felt heavy. I had no choice. The magical night had ended, and with the morning came the harsh light of reality. I couldn't understand her sudden change in behavior. She seemed like a completely different person now. Is everything okay? I mean, you said the mechanic shop opens at 9, and it's only 8:20. I glanced at the wall clock. I just need to go home as soon as possible, she replied, picking up the mop from the floor. Okay, but why? You were laughing just moments ago, and now you look pale. Are you all right? Sir, please get ready and take me to the mechanic shop. If you can't, that's fine. I'll take a taxi. I won't bother you anymore, she said, shaking her head before beginning to wipe the wet floor. Her cold words stung, and her actions only fueled my frustration. What the hell are you doing? I snapped, snatching the mop from her hands. This isn't your job. I glared at her, but she kept her eyes down, breathing heavily. Why won't she even look at me? Jamal, I called out. Jamal, I shouted again, still watching her. She flinched. Gee, sir. Jamal hurried out from the kitchen. Clean this up right now, I ordered, pointing at the wet floor, my gaze never leaving her face. Sir. He nodded, took the mop from my hands, and began cleaning. We stood there in silence for a few minutes. As soon as Jamal returned to the kitchen, she walked over to the couch, grabbed her handbag, and picked up her phone from the tea table before placing it inside her bag. I'll drive you, I declared. She remained silent, still refusing to meet my eyes. Without another word, I went to my room, quickly took a shower, and dressed in my formal black suit. Her sudden shift in expression was all I could think about. She had been laughing, and then in an instant, she seemed distant, like she was a stranger here. Like I was a stranger to her. What's wrong? If she disagreed with me about something, she had never hesitated to argue and make her point clear. Something isn't right. Something is weighing on her mind. What is it that's troubling her so much? I have to find out. Once I was ready, I headed downstairs. She was still standing there, unchanged, as if frozen in place. Jamal, we're leaving, I announced. Gee, sir. Bye, Lavanya Didi, Jamal called from the kitchen. She didn't respond. I sighed. Come, Lavanya, I said gently, before heading outside to the garage. I pulled my car out and saw her stepping out of the house. Without a word, she got into the passenger seat and fastened her seatbelt, staring straight ahead. Shall we? I asked. She only gave a weak nod. She felt like a complete stranger now, nothing like the girl I had spent the whole night with. The entire drive was silent. I didn't even have the courage to speak, as if an invisible wall had suddenly risen between us. And no matter how much I wanted to, I couldn't break through it. My mind kept replaying the events of last night. They were now just memories, beautiful fleeting moments that left an ache in my chest. I stole glances at her, recalling every little thing. Our dinner, the soft conversations, the music, her singing, her falling asleep on my lap, the kiss, her wedding nightmare, the staircase accident, me holding her in my arms, her speech about Indian society, my apology, her cooking, the delicious breakfast, my ridiculous fall, her laughter, and then her touch. So much had happened in just a few hours. It felt as though I had lived a lifetime with her. God, I want this girl in my life. I want her, forever. I don't care what it takes. I'll make her mine. Yes, I will. I glanced at her one last time. She was lost in thought, gazing out of the window. With a quiet sigh, I focused on the road ahead.
Lavanya's POV. I stayed silent because I had nothing to say. My mind was a whirlwind of confusion. I couldn't think straight, let alone talk. Thankfully, he didn't try to start a conversation. I needed time to figure things out. Bhaiya, I left my keys here yesterday. Could you please check? I asked the mechanic, who was busy repairing a car. Yes, madam. He wiped his greasy hands and a filthy rag, disappeared into the shop, and returned with my key ring. Here, madam. I took the apartment key from the ring. Thank you, Bahaya, and please try to repair my bike as soon as possible. He nodded and we got back into the car. Halfway through the drive, Jackie sir finally spoke. Lavanya, what's wrong? Why are you so quiet? Please don't ask, sir. I don't have an answer. He let you stay in his home and took care of you in every way possible. Don't be rude, Lavanya. Show some manners when he's talking to you. My conscience scolded me. Nothing, just tired and exhausted, I finally replied, glancing at him from the corner of my eye. Are you sure? He asked, his concern evident. I simply nodded and looked away. A moment later, I heard him exhale in relief. As soon as he pulled up in front of my apartment building, I turned to him. Thank you, sir, for everything. You can finally head to the office. I'll try to come as soon as possible after finishing my household work. Just as I was about to step out of the car, his annoyed voice stopped me. Are you deaf or what? I froze. I clearly told you I'll be driving you to the office for the next 4 or 5 days until you get your bike back. No further discussions. And if you have a problem with me coming up to your apartment, then fine, I'll wait right here in my car. He wasn't asking, he was declaring it. Why doesn't he understand that I want to stay away from him? That I need some time alone to think things through? I didn't argue further, choosing instead to avoid any more conversation with him. No, sir, I didn't mean that. Of course you can come, I replied, glancing at him briefly. He smiled, and I quickly looked away. We got out of the car and headed into my apartment. Sir, please have a seat. I'll be back in 15 minutes. You can watch TV. Here's the remote, I told him, gesturing towards the sofa and pointing at the remote on the tea table in front of it. He nodded with a smile. Take your time. I went to my room and took a shower, washing my hair in an attempt to cool my head, which was overflowing with thoughts. The cold water helped a little. Afterwards, I put on a mint green anarkali with intricate golden handwork on the bodice. While drying my hair with a towel, the landline rang. I hurried back to the dining room to pick it up, only to hear my mother's worried voice. Lavanya, beta, where were you? We've been calling you since yesterday. Oh my god, my phone. I don't know, Mama. I think my phone was on silent mode and I was in deep sleep. I lied, unsure of what else to say. But beta, we called the landline too. When you didn't pick up, we got scared. You have no idea what kind of horrible thoughts were running through my mind. As I spoke to my mother, I caught Jackie sir glancing at me while flipping through TV channels. Sorry, Mama, but I'm fine. I overslept today and the weather wasn't great yesterday. Maybe that's why you got a false ringing on the landline. I didn't receive any calls. I lied again. Too bad, Lavanya. Too many lies. You're changing, but in the wrong way. My inner voice mocked me. Oh, it's okay, but at least inform us next time that you reached home safely. We were panicking. I will, Mama. Sorry about last night. Where's Daddy? He's gone with the other men to help arrange the feast at the temple. Mama, when are you coming back? I miss you. Don't worry, beta. We'll be back in 3 or 4 days. Take care of yourself. And are you taking your lunchbox with you? Yes, Mama, I am. I was just cooking. Okay, take care then. Bye. Bye, Mama. I hung up the phone. You lied? Jackie sir commented. I blinked at his remark but didn't respond. Instead, I turned and walked towards the kitchen. I'll be back, I muttered. I busied myself making sandwiches and preparing my lunchbox. I even packed an extra one for him, knowing that if I didn't, he'd end up staring at mine like a hungry child again. Just as I was about to leave the kitchen, I turned and found him standing in the doorway, leaning against the wall. I stopped in my tracks. You didn't reply, he said again. Sir, we're getting late for work. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Avoiding his question, I moved towards the door to walk past him, but he blocked my way. I looked up at him, unsurprised by his behavior. By now, I was getting used to it. He always did things like this. It was totally normal for him. Why did you lie to your mom? He asked. Sir, I don't want to be late, I replied, looking away. It's a simple question, love. Just answer it. Why? I looked at him. Why do I have to answer every question of yours, sir? I argued. His narrowed eyes widened, his eyebrows lifting slightly. Well, maybe because you're still my employee and your work hours started a few minutes ago, so you have to obey me, he said, glancing at his wristwatch and pouting his lips. I frowned at his manipulative reasoning. I don't know, I muttered, looking away. You don't know what? That this is work, ho? He was about to complete his sentence when I cut him off. I don't know why I lied to my mom, okay? Are you sure it's not something related to the whole Indian society issue? He asked sarcastically. I shot him a fiery glare. Okay, sorry. He backed off, raising both hands in surrender. Can I go now? I asked. Oh, he finally stepped aside, allowing me to walk towards the dining room. After a final glance at my reflection in the dressing table mirror, I grabbed my handbag and joined him. We stepped out of the apartment and got into the car. As we neared the gate, I turned to him. Sir, could you please stop the car for a moment? Yeah, sure. He pulled over, and I stepped out, walking towards the security guard. Handing him some prasad, I received his blessings and waved before heading back to the car. As soon as I got in, Mr. Dawson looked at me with a puzzled expression. What was that? After a brief pause, I replied, Prasad. Who? I pressed my lips together for a moment before explaining. When we pray, we offer fruits or sweets to God. That offering is called prasad. After worship, we share it with others. I took some prasad from a small box and offered it to him. Here. Taking it from my hand, he remarked, So that's why you stop here every day? Yes. Wait, how does he know that I stop here every day? Mr. Dawson ate the prasad and then, just to annoy me, started driving as slowly as possible. Sir, will you please speed up a little? I requested. He simply smirked, shot me a quick glance, and finally changed gears. Irritating American monster. After half an hour, we finally reached the office. Normally, it took only 15 to 20 minutes. But today, he drove as if his car was a bullock cart. I have no idea why. Thank you very much, sir, I said, practically jumping out of the car. You're always welcome, love, he called after me. I ignored him and rushed towards my department, drawing everyone's attention. Stop staring, I know I'm late. Hi, Ruhi. I greeted, still catching my breath as I collapsed into my chair. Hey, where were you? Bairat sir was asking for you, she whispered cautiously. My bike broke down yesterday. That's why I'm late, I replied, only giving her half the truth. Why don't you just admit that you left your apartment key at the mechanic's and spent the night in the American Monsters duplex? My inner voice taunted. Just throw away that garbage of yours and buy a bicycle. At least it'll work properly, she muttered, rolling her eyes. I opened my mouth to respond, but couldn't find the words. For once, she actually had a point. By the way, sorry, she said, apologizing. I looked at her, furrowing my brows. For my weird behavior yesterday at the canteen, she clarified, and I relaxed my expression. It's okay. I'd already forgotten about it, I replied sincerely. Thanks, she said with a smile. Thank God she finally smiled.